That's not to say all the new ones are poor. There have been some good new editions. You should obviously try for a good journal, but be realistic. These are some of the journals. I don't know if you can switch the camera to. These are some of the journals that we have here, that we have a look at, and I'll just choose a few. We work obviously in tropical medicine, so the American Journal of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene is something we like to submit to. If we have something really good, we will go for a high-profile general journal like the Lancet and the New England Journal of Medicine. If it's something very specialized, if it's really good, we might go for a more basic science journal. These are all relatively high-impact papers, again in the general area of infectious diseases, clinical infectious diseases, and Journal of Infectious Diseases. I have to say we don't submit to Nature, Science or Cell very often. These are extremely high impact but also very difficult to get into. Sometimes we submit reviews. Here's, for example, Trends in Parasitology, microbe. Reviews are useful, and in your research probably will write some reviews if you're successful. You'll probably write some case reports too. It's not a good idea to have too many of those in proportion to the number of actual scientific or medical publications. Well, how do you assess journals? Very briefly, there's a thing called the impact factor. And journals such as Nature and Cell and Science have impact factors over 30. This is really a measure of how often the papers are cited. Most of the journals that we are thinking about are going to be here, with impact factors of less than 5 in tropical medicine. So I think something like the American Journal of Tropical Medicine probably has an impact factor of about 4. I think the Malaria Journal, for example, has an impact factor of 3. If your journal has an impact factor of less than 2, think seriously about it, because that's probably not a very, very good journal. Having said that, I think that if your work is good, it deserves to be read, and journals like, for example, PLOS One, this is a PLOS One paper. PLOS One really just simply wants to make sure that the research has been conducted well and ethically, and then doesn't really have a position on whether it should be published. They publish everything, it's online, it's open access. So this is a slightly new change in medical publishing, and I think a good one. So it's a lottery. If you want to go for a very high impact factor journal, then the probability of success is low. Each time you're rejected, that takes time, so and you get more depressed. So you might have a piece of research that you conducted, you thought it was really good, you submit to Nature, they say no, you submit to Science, you say no, PLOS Biology, no. Each one more and more depressed, takes time. So it's pretty good to get advice which level you should be submitting your paper to, and that will save yourself time. If you're in a hurry, then some of the journals publish relatively quickly, particularly the online journals, and particularly if you pay. So if urgency is required, sometimes you're in competition with another group or something like that, then an open access online journal where you pay can have your work in the public domain within about 6 months. It's not uncommon for it to take a year. It's a long, long time to get work published. But you should try and publish in a reasonably good journal, and if you're ambitious and want to go high, you have to accept that the chances are low. It's as simple as that. When you submit to the journal, you often write a covering letter. It's on the online submission process, and that covering letter, you should say what you feel about your paper, but you should also if you're willing to concede on things, for example, you might say, we are willing to cut this down, or for some journals have rapid communications which are short. You might really want to keep as many words as possible in your paper, but you could say to the editor, I'm willing to cut this to a rapid communication of, say, 1,000 words or 1,500 words, if you agree. Something like that. So the editor, if there is a choice of format, and you have a view on that, you can communicate that in your covering letter. Okay, so choice of journal, up to you. It's a lottery, you take the risk. It's no good submitting a rather boring, not very good piece of work to a very high impact factor journal. It will get rejected, but it will delay you, it'll take you time, and sometimes it will cost you money. Other tips and tricks, I've said it before, but I think it's worth saying again, that having a lot of revision of your paper, many versions, and each one trying to get better and better, to polish it up, is worth it. It's worth the time. It's very depressing as a reviewer to receive papers which are badly written and where it's very difficult to follow what happened and to understand what people mean. So getting things clear, and that often means being concise, which is short. Some sentences are huge sentences, and you really, when you come to the end of the sentence, you don't know what it was at the beginning. So making things complex is not an advantage. Don't believe in a scientific publication that by writing long words and being complicated, it means it's better. No. Actually, having things explained in very simple language is by far the best. So the way in which a paper is written is really very, very important in determining its success. So something that is formatted correctly, looks good, has nice tables, nice looking diagrams which are easy to follow, is written in simple language that's easy to understand, where the train of thought is clear from beginning to end. These are the virtues of a good paper, and if this comes in competition with a badly written, badly put together paper, it will win. So it's actually really important in your paper that you spend time polishing it, and in order to do that, it's often best for many people to see it. If it's your work and you've been working on it for 3 or 4 years, you are so deeply inside that work that you cannot be objective, and it's really good to show it to somebody else and say, look, be as critical as you like, please. Really, be critical. And don't be upset if people are genuinely critical, because it takes a lot of time and effort to make a piece of work into something really good. One other thing that I think is good is to accept the limitations of your work. Many people try and sell their work. It's almost like selling an old car. They say how brilliant it is, and they oversell it, and they don't say what is bad about it. If you're honest and say, these are the limitations, this is usually in the discussion, my work is good, but these are the uncertainties, these are the outstanding questions, these are the limitations. Actually, that helps. People love honesty, don't we all? Well, good luck with your publications, and keep up the good work, and I hope that you are successful. Don't be dispirited when papers are rejected. Keep on trying. The important thing is to do good work and to communicate it in a good way to everybody else.